to 1 Eastern time. It'll be there in a blink. Fun night in sports. We'll get to Denver and the Clippers in just a moment. We begin with the best thing I saw today. And if you're watching basketball on this Tuesday night, I have a feeling you know where we're going to start here. This was one hell of a basketball game, and this is as good a block as I've ever seen. Leading by 2 points, Miami's Bam Adebayo rises up and blocks not just anybody, but Jason Tatum, who's cuffing it. He's going to dunk it. Taco Fall, who is a rim protector himself, looks up. This is the best angle. His wrist is going to break. He meets him outside the bucket, and somehow no body contact and keeps the ball out of the rim. How do you do it? We'll ask him when he joins us a little bit later. The Don, Pat Riley, enjoying that. And we'll show you the highlight of that game in a moment. But first, Game 7, Nuggets and Clippers, as you just saw from the bubble. Nikola Jokic, lead for Denver in this elimination game. Remarkable to see how it just goes completely off the rails for the Clippers. And the final quarter of the game, and Murray goes for 40. And Doc's team will not meet the LA Lakers. Kawhi led Toronto to a title a year ago. Going to have to wait in LA, and that drought for this Clipper franchise, well documented, and it will continue in its 50th season. The Clips reached the edge of the conference finals, but once again are denied. Now 0-8 all time with a chance to clinch a spot in the conference finals. Celebration is on moments ago in the bubble. And think about that. You've been down there 70 days. Everybody's just giving you no shot. And again,
they don't want waters tonight. They want something else.
Well, champagne. And the other end of it, we mentioned that Clippers drought. You see that this is the longest for any franchise in sports. And you compile this team to not just make a conference final, but to make a deep run. It doesn't happen this year. And Tim Legler is alongside. And Tim, often in these situations, I feel like we frame this, well, why did they lose? I do not want to start there. I want to start with why Denver won, because they won, and demonstrably so. What was the difference in this Game 7?
Well, their best player was the best player in the series, first of all. That's why they won. Nikola Jokic controlled the entire series, right? And for me, to typify or simplify a 7-game series by showing you 2 plays on the touchscreen, sounds ridiculous, but I'm about to do it, because this is to the extent to which Nikola Jokic...
You're the best with this in your hand of anybody.
This set right here, Scott, this is it. This is the series, and particularly in this game at a critical stretch. It's just simple 2-man game. But the IQ level of Nikola Jokic, before he even comes out of this spin and he goes to the middle of the court, he knows, first of all, he's getting the basketball back. And he also already knows the 2 guys he's going to engage are right here. And he's going to turn and face, and he's going to make a very simple read. He's got 3 options. The first one is, want to stay back right here. He's going to shoot the little 1-footed floater. So that's the first thing he's going to look at. Now we start to play it. Now, defender comes up. Here's the next look. He's going to get this cut from the baseline. So now he's got one thing to look at. This defender, what are you going to do? Are you going to try to track down here and cut off the cutter along the baseline? That's easy then. It's easy pickings out here to the 3-point shooter. This basic 2-man game in the middle of the floor completely controlled the Clippers defensively. And this was a team going into the year that we thought could be special on that end of the floor. Again, let's run it to the other side now. Same exact thing. Jamal Murray's going to engage 2. Jokic is going to dive. And before he's even touched the ball, he knows these are the 2 defenders he's going to engage. He's going to make a very simple read. Catches the basketball. Take a look what the Clippers do. They rotate 2 over. He even came off the strong side corner. He comes from the back baseline. So now it's a simple read. Who are you going to play? Whichever shooter he goes to, he's going to hold the ball long enough, little hesitation, and he's going to find the open guy after reading that one defender. Pick your poison. This is what the Denver Nuggets did to control the entire series after the 4th game, and the Clippers never really made the adjustment. All that speed and length we talk about with Kawhi and Beverly and Paul George, it didn't bother him because it's the one guy you can't speed up. He plays at his pace. Yep. He sees everything way before anybody else on the floor, and he makes simple ABC reads based on what you are going to do on the weak side after he comes into the middle of the lane.
You talk about the luxury of another player. Now, you've talked about that when I asked you about Murray, and you talked about Jokic. Well, it's a luxury to have a guy controlling a series and have a guy who could get a 40-piece, which Murray did in this as well. Now, I'm curious, and I'm going to get to the Clippers, but the Lakers obviously have Davis. They've got some options lengthwise that they can throw at him, but Jokic, as you say, won't be sped up. But how will the Lakers try to deal with what we just saw?
Won't be sped up, but he will be dealing with a different level of athlete in AD, particularly when he's playing at the 5. And some of the things he can do with his foot speed laterally to cut him off, he can contest a little bit better on Jokic than Harrell and Zubac were able to. So it's going to be a different look for him. Mm-hmm. And look, the Lakers are a team that, for me, for my money, they have been the best defensive team I've seen in the bubble. But this is what Jokic is going to do, and this is what he did in this series. I mean, he is a guy that can create so much space. If you want to help on penetration, the way that Harrell and Zubac were able to, look at the ground, then they have to cover. And these wide screens, if you're going to go over the top, now guards are completely downhill. And Zubac, how are you going to ask him to stop the ball and then recover out to Jokic? It's going to be a different level athlete when you're talking about an Anthony Davis. Maybe even if they play some of their bigger guys like McGee or Dwight Howard. But still, the ground you have to cover is challenging. The question is going to be more, for me, can he do the things in the lane that he did to the Clippers against the Lakers because they're so big and they're so aggressive and they're so physically strong in the lane? That's going to be a much more difficult proposition for Jokic.
And LeBron just the other day said from the very beginning, Frank Vogel challenged them to be the best defensive team that they could be, and that will be tested here by not the team people expected them to be facing. I'm curious what you think about the Clippers, but first let's hear what their head coach, Doc Rivers, has to say about the end of the season, surprisingly, on this Tuesday night.
I thought we had so many opportunities over the last 3 games to win. But listen, you got to give Denver credit. They kept playing, they kept executing, they kept playing together. So right now, just disappointment. Honestly, I thought you could just see the difference in the 2 teams. That team's been together. We haven't, and you can see it as the games went on. They just knew each other so well. I thought offensively, even though I mean, listen, we had great shots. I mean, great shots all night. I still didn't think we trusted. We did at the beginning of the game. We did coming out of the 3rd quarter. We got a 7-point lead. But right when they put pressure on us, honestly, I just thought we didn't come through.
Thanks, Doc. We'll go to home.
Hey, Doc. This team never was able to reach its full potential. How good did you think this team could have been? And did the expectations, were they ever too heavy for this team?
No, we didn't meet them. That's the bottom line. I'm the coach, and I'll take any blame for it. But we didn't meet our expectations, clearly. Because we had, in my opinion, we'd still be playing.
We'll take a question from the bubble with Dan.
From Doc to Kawhi, live at the podium.
Well, Game 7.
I guess finish out the season. NBA did a good job of, hosting this event and, letting players come out and play.
Thank you.
Any more from the bubble?
Yeah, we got 2 in here.
All right, who's up in the bubble?
Hey, Kawhi, Dan. Kawhi this year from a life-changing free agency decision to Kobe, to pandemic, to this disappointment. What's this journey been this year?
I mean, it's been, shocking, you know what I mean? Like you said, pandemic, a legend, passing away from a, crazy accident. And, us coming here to Lake Buena Vista to play these games. It's been hectic, but I'm happy. I was just telling him I'm happy that we got to play basketball again, and probably kept a lot of us upbeat.
There was obviously a lot of reasons.
The Clippers were 9 of 39 in the second half on contested shots. Denver contested 39 of the 45 attempts. So if I ask you, Tim, to explain what happened. We saw the Denver piece. What's the Clipper side?
Their biggest guys came up small. It's that simple. You can talk about contested shots all you want to. Go take a look at the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. That's where the game got away from them, and a lot of these shots were not contested. You had guys tighten up right before your eyes. It was obvious to me. When they came out of the locker room, they went up 7 right away. When Denver ate into that lead and then took the lead before the fourth quarter started, you could see all of the pressure shift to the Clippers. They felt it when the fourth quarter started. Kawhi Leonard, that normal fadeaway step back jumper he gets in 18 feet was not going in. Paul George had 2 clean looks to start the quarter. Lou Williams missed an uncontested layup. Those are your best guys. At a time when Jamal Murray and Jokic are beating you up on the other end, their best players, your 3 best offensive players completely wilted in the fourth quarter of that game. And by the way, to me, up 3-1, that's a little bit of an excuse saying that Denver was together longer, they know each other better. Not up 3-1. You can't use that excuse. You're 1 game away from clamping down, and you've got all that talent. You've got to get it done. They were just abominable in the second half of this game. There's no other way to put it.
And up 16 and up 19 in back-to-back games. You got to figure that out.
No doubt.
And they didn't. More to come from Tim as we continue on SportsCenter. Thanks, man.
Yep.